Matt from Stroma Sample Company here. I'm super excited to walk you through our brand new sample pack called Heavy Gauge. What I'm going to do is walk you through the theme song we made for it and kind of recreate all the guitar tracks from it so you guys can see how I did it and to see how malleable these samples are. You can pitch shift them, you can stretch them, you can shorten them, you can do all sorts of stuff to make really cool things. We gave you guys over 4,000 samples to do whatever you want with, and I truly believe that really whatever you hear as far as rhythm, modern rock and metal guitar riffs go, I think you can pretty much make anything by chopping and stretching these samples. So super cool. Let's dive into it. Before we get started, let's check out the track and you guys can hear the song. All right, so as you guys can hear, we are starting with a pretty heavy, dark sounding riff. So let's start with the left and right rhythm guitars. I'm going to solo that for you guys so you can hear it. So you can hear basically it is some low bends, some chugs, and a rhythm we have called Pick It Up. And then this sample here, which is called Quad Dada, which is kind of what it sounds like. And so I think we just used 3 samples to make this main riff, which is pretty awesome. So let's find those samples and recreate this thing. All right, so when you open the Heavy Gauge folder, you have loops and one-shots. We're pretty much going to be working out of the loops folder, so let's click that. And as you can see here, we have 9 folders. We have power chord basic, power chord patterns, single note basic, single note patterns, chugging patterns, octaves, major third strums, minor third strums, and dissonant seconds. All right, so for the first part of this riff, the sample we're using is called Bendy Boys, A sharp to A low. So let's go find that in the single note patterns folder. Here it is, and we use high gain for all these guitar tones. Okay, that's the higher octave. That's the lower octave, so we use that. Okay, so our first step, our tempo for the song is 140. Shorten this from 115 to 140. We're gonna use X form for that. All right, so our tempo is 115, and we want 140. So let's make this whole sample 140. Awesome. So we can see this here. This bend is about 1.5 bars. So we need it to be this length, but we have this length. So what we're gonna do is let's duplicate this so we can use this later. This whole sample, we are going to speed it up by 200% here. So we have faster bends. This way we can use all of them so we don't repeat the same bend over and over. That way it sounds more realistic. All right, let's see what this sounds like. So we'll use this from over here. I don't know the math on this. Let's go like 150%. Oh, we got it. There we go. Okay. So now our bends are good, but that right there is not a bend in our riff. We have some chugs. For these chugs, we used a sample called Pick It Up in, looks like it's in the chug patterns folder. So let's go find that. Chug patterns, here we go. Pick It Up, high gain. That is A low. Okay, sometimes it's gonna be easier if we make another track that we can just use for dragging samples onto it. And we are gonna find the chunk we used for that. Okay, this sounds like it right there. Let's see if that works. Pretty close. As you can hear, we have all these pretty intense pops. So let's crossfade all the samples. A little bit of a funny volume thing going on. Sometimes that can happen with the pitch shifting and all this stretching. So all that time stretching we did could have messed with the volume. So let's equalize the volume. All right, so now that we fixed all of those pops, let's copy and paste this section of the riff to the other parts. We have that. All right, so these chugs in the middle also look like we used the same sample, Pick It Up. Do we still have that on here? It looks like we do not. Let's drag it in again. Same note, A low. Cool, so we did not cut this up at all. We just used it straight up. I did notice that I chopped out some of the noise. On some samples, we left some of the noise in between the pauses because we don't really know how natural you guys want it to sound. Some people prefer for it not to be super chopped up, but if you want a super tight sound, which a lot of people do, especially in metal, you can just go through and quickly chop those rests out and it'll sound a lot tighter. So let's see what we have right now. So we have one more sample, that's that Quad Dada. Let's go find that. It's probably gonna be in single note patterns. Go to single note patterns, Quad Dada. And then the note, it's not an A. We went down to the F. This is a really low sample. This is a note you would find on probably like an 8-string guitar. This pattern we did here, that is not what this sample even is. Let's see what we have here. It's just but we can make pretty much whatever we want out of that. So let's chop out that, move this up to there. And then it looks like if you see this, like I was just talking about with the chopping the noise out, sometimes if I just chop this like that, it's too chopped. It sounds unrealistic. See? Is we can take this tail and put it there. Crossfade these, but see how now that sounds like someone actually played it because you have the natural muting of the strings. And then it looks like we also moved this up. We used the same tail here. And then I think we just grabbed an upstroke, so right there, and just put it right there. Let's crossfade it, see what we have. Yeah, I think this is just a move over there, and then that's where the pattern restarts. Let's crossfade it, just get rid of the pops. So this whole section just goes twice, so we can duplicate that over, and we have sounds just like the original. So as you can see, it's a little tedious when you're putting the riff together, but then once you're done, you're done. It sounds awesome. It's perfectly edited. It sounds tight. Very easy to get a really good sounding final product. All right, let's dive into some of the extra stuff we have on top of the riff. We added a harmony to all those bends. We basically did the exact same thing we did to those other bends. We just used the D to C sharp, giving it a major third harmony. It's pretty quiet, but it adds some interest. We'll tuck that back down. Another really cool layer we have here is, so it sounds a little messed up. It almost doesn't even sound like a guitar, which is actually kind of cool. I think that's because we actually pitch shifted that up an octave, but it's cool. Let's try to recreate that. We used half step bend picking. That's probably in single notes also. Let's see, here we go. These layers that are on top just kind of add a cool eeriness to the whole thing. Okay, A to A sharp. Okay, as we can see, we have tempo 175. We got to get down, what is it, 140. So let's open X form back up in our audio suite. Current tempo is 175. You know, we're actually trying to speed this up, so we will double the 140. I guess we go 280. So we pitch shifted it from 175 to 280, and that shortened it up to just be a 4-bar sample. And we're trying to get to this. All right, so let's try going up an octave. We can put this back to 100%. Let's go up 12 semitones. Awesome. So we just have that going da, da, through the whole thing, a slow half-step bend. Let's copy and paste this. We have that going through the whole riff quietly in the background. Let's highlight all of them, do a fade, and now let's mute our original. We have all our recreated tracks as purple. Let's check out what we got. So it's kind of cool, a little bit louder than I even had it. It's really just preference. We have one more layer adding some spookiness to the whole thing. Let's see what that is. That really just makes the whole vibe of the riff super chaotic. As you can see, it's called Tremolo Chaos here. All right, so let's check out how we made that. I believe it's pretty easy. I think we just dragged in A to A sharp 2 for dissonant strums. Let's copy this track down. We have the tremolator on this, giving it that tremolo effect. We have dissonant strums at 120. And if we go all the way back to the loop folder, we have dissonant seconds, 120 strums, high gain. We have A to A sharp 2. Let's drag that in. Open our X form back up. Since that's in 120, we're gonna put it in 140 BPM. That's gonna shorten up. We're gonna copy and paste that throughout the whole riff. Looks like we added a little section at the beginning. Can't forget to crossfade all of it. Let's hear that without the tremolator and EQ. As you can hear, just some nasty half-step dissonant strums. So with the EQ, which is pretty much just a low cut and a little bit of a high boost, we have this. Kind of makes it a little bit more intense and hectic. And then tremolator really does the work on this one. And just makes it feel like bees are attacking you, honestly, which is normally not good, but good for a riff like this. So let's hear what all that sounds like together.